Well done. This does seem to be one of the most suitable venues we've used for a public performing space. And our next fire station, I've got a personnel issue here with a member of the authority. And in no circumstance does anybody make reference to the fact that Chris Jackson may have served this.
Anybody else?
Anybody else, sorry. During the course of the meeting then, which is being broadcast, I understand, on YouTube, as we speak. Is it live? No. Good morning to you all. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence.
We've got Celia Phillips, John Ash, Catherine Morrison, Christine.
Are we aware of any others?
Only Celia again.
Okay. Emergency evacuation procedures.
Sir, it's Officer Chairman, one over here, one over here, we'll meet out the front of the building.
Stand by bus. Any declaration of interest?
Yeah, just one for item 16 on the
Okay. Right, there is a member of the public present. Good morning to you, sir.
From the press.
Okay, you are aware this is being copied.
That's fine.
Yeah. So chair's business, I have two items. The first concerns something which I think is actually foremost in our minds, the fact that we are a fire and rescue service. That's our prime reason for being here. And on the 4th of February, we did some quite sad but very important business. And I think that Rob, we did the Fleur Lombard Remembrance Service at Safe Hill. And Rob, do you want to make some comments, please, to enlighten members on the importance of that?
Thank you, Chair. Members be aware that 1996, the 4th of February 1996, Fleur Lombard, a colleague of ours, actually died in the fire at Leo's Superstore in Staple Hill. It was the first female firefighter in peacetime operations. Fleur served at Steepwell Fire Station on Blue Watch with colleagues of Pat Foley and Rob Seaman. Fleur was awarded the Queen's Gallantry Medal posthumously. Rob Seaman, who's just recently retired, received the George Medal for going back in to rescue Fleur from that terrible event. And Pat Foley, who's still serving with us, received the Queen's Commendations for Bravery. If you can remember back to 1996, that week, the 1st of February onwards, was quite a tragic week in the British Fire Service. On the 1st of February, we lost 2 colleagues in the then Gwent Fire Rescue Service in Blaina, and then literally 3 days later, we lost Fleur. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I just ask a question? Did we, or were we for of that, sir? I've been to it once before, and I would have been pleased to have gone to it again.
I was aware of it, Alan, because it was also the 4th of February at Staple Hill Memorial.
So I read about it after, and I thought, well, it would have been nice to be present.
But it's also the 4th. What I was going to ask for, bear in mind that a few of us would have been there, can we hold a minute's silence, please, understanding the memory. and that Andy Speedy will be covering the interim roles as all services. Clearly need to do quite a lot of work in terms of structures at the top, because we haven't got the interim staff, not just our treasurer. I'm sure the chief can be bringing forward proposals in due course.
Nice to see our treasurer around for us.
Oh, right, yes, I've forgotten about that. Oh, yeah, not surprisingly.
Sorry, can you just explain the person moving into that interim post?
Angie is currently his deputy, and Angie will be picking up some of those roles as a director on that on the interim basis. Just want to step into that role fully, if that makes sense. So hopefully make it come forward to the authority in the fullness of time with our permanent structure moving forwards. But of course we're not able to do that at the moment because of our issues.
Bearing in mind history, is there a cap on how long temporary secondment will last?
It will be for a 3-month period initially, I would suggest.
Right, so item number 5 is the minutes of the ordinary meetings on page 4. So I sign those with the correct record of the meeting on the 20th of December.
One slight amendment on page 12. Yes, sir. It says heritage pathway down, it should be carpenter. Draw this and thank you. Very close and excellent minutes for the carpenter.
Are we okay to sign those? Thank you.
I have something to say to this. The top of page 6, I was unable to attend, but it mentions here that I had concerns about disposals and employment committee. I wrote this 5 pages, so I think it's rather more than the employment committee disposals. When it's appropriate, I should raise what I think about the Constitution, but
Okay.
that's a subset of my objections.
Yes, I know. Okay, right, fine.
So you know that's not reflected in the
Well, the minutes reflect what went on the meeting that you weren't at, so
No, it's accepted, but I did send you a 5-page list of objections, of which these are 2.
Item number 6 is public access to be opened up. Okay. Item 7 is committee minutes. Appointment committee from the 8th of November to the 21st. Okay. Dice committee from the 6th of December. And notice of the ordinary meeting, the board meeting from the 7th of December. Are we going to sign all those? Okay, item number 8 is the urgent action under standing order 5.1. That we approved at the Bristol Temporary Interim Treasurer and consultation of the Chair for response to the consultation on the Provisional Financial Settlement was submission to government by the Delta 10th of January. A copy of that submission is in the papers today. So, we're on to item number 9, which is the revenue budget. Kevin, do you want to introduce this? Thank you first of all for an extremely comprehensive document in our papers.
Thanks for those comments. Okay, good morning members. For those of you that were at the December 20th meeting, you recall we had a good go looking at the draft budget for 1920. For those of you that weren't there, hopefully the Chair has mentioned the purpose of this report is really to provide you as members with as much information as appropriate for you to make a decision today on the level of budget and council tax for 2019-20. So the paper itself, we're looking at the revenue budget for 1920, the level of council tax. Also, it would be appropriate to look at next year alongside our medium-term financial plan. So I will pick that up in my presentation. And we will also be looking at the capital programme for 2019-20 and beyond. So there are recommendations there. So there's also the issue of the charges. So those are the issues that I will pick up during the report. So the main purpose is to set a budget for 1920. So immediately, just to emphasise that in the meeting in December, the paper included two options. Option one was for an increase of council tax of 2.9%, and option two, an increase in council tax of 2%. And members were supportive of the authority looking at only those two options. So those are the two options that remain in the report. Since that meeting in December, the paper has gone out for consultation. There is a legal requirement for the authority to consult with business community at the very least, but the public also is discretionary. So we've carried out a consultation in the same way as the authority has in the past. There's been no responses to it, which is slightly disappointing, but that's the position. So we're now in a position of revisiting this report with the purpose of the authority making a decision on either option A or option B. So option one, an increase of 2.99%, as we discussed in December. The Provisional Local Government Settlement was issued in December, and for fire authorities, a council tax limit was set at 3%, no more than 3%. As I said at that meeting, we were aware that other authorities have had more flexibility around council tax. So, for instance, Shire District Council will be able to increase their council tax by a cash figure of £5 or 3%, whichever is the higher. So that would give them flexibility to increase council tax beyond 3%. And our colleagues in the police have done very well this year in the sense that they've been able to increase their council tax by a cash figure of £24. So if we look at Avon and Somerset, for instance, they have made a decision to increase their council tax by £24, which is in the order of a 12% increase from 18-19. So very good for our colleagues in the police, but no flexibility required. The Chair mentioned that the Provisional Government Settlement, which came out in December, we had an opportunity to respond. I did on behalf of the authority send a response, and as well as the usual things around, well, why it hasn't got as much as others, I did raise the issue about the council tax limits and possibilities with more flexibilities for fire, as did a number of fire authorities and also the National Federation of Chief Fire Chiefs raised as well. But disappointingly, well, not surprisingly, I would say, they haven't changed their mind in the final testament which came out last week. So we're with 3%. So that's the most that we could increase the council tax without triggering the ordinance with the council tax referendum, which is not something I've even mentioned in the papers as well. So 2.99%, we've increased our council tax from £71.35 to £73.48 on the basis of option one. Anyone that might have done the sums, we might have been able to stretch that to £73.49, but I'm suggesting we leave it at £73.48 because I know from experience that there is a danger that if you go very close to the 3%, that the final calculation could trigger going beyond 3%. And I wouldn't want to be sort of 3.1001% if triggered. So safety would say let's leave it at £73.48, which is still 2.9%. Option two is the 2%. Members will be aware that 2019-20 is year 4 of the 4-year plan that we signed up to in 2016. So we've been on that journey, and yet at that time the limit was 2%. So the plans were set on the basis that the authority would be able to live within 2% council tax option. So we've already said in our 4-year plan that if we went for a 2%, we could live with it. So it still remains there as an option, but obviously the government have now introduced a higher than 3%. I would also say that when the spending settlement came out in December, the likes of myself and treasurers will be looking at the grant settlement because that's the figure that's been reduced, but the government will always talk about what's called core spending. So core spending includes not just settlement revenue growth, but it would include council tax and anything else that we get. So if you looked at our core spending review, you would see an increase in funding. But that's because they've assumed that we're going to increase our council tax by 3%. So even in government, they would assume that while we've got this, we take the opportunity to stretch it to 3%. So as mentioned, the response to the consultation document is at the back, where we appendices. We know that £73.48 if we went for option 1 is an increase of £2.13, so it's less than 4 pence, just to put it in those sorts of terms. So, appendix 2 is the consultation response. Just walking through the report and bringing out the major items, and probably just to emphasise all the changes that have taken place since our presentation in December.
Help us with what page is appendix 1?
Appendix 2.
The official response to the other.
Yeah, page 24 is the start of that response. Okay, so as I mentioned, there have been some changes. So if I start with cover the local government funding settlement, council tax, so we're now on page 64 of the report. We have had further information from our 4 unitary authorities to confirm the levels of council tax base for next year at what's called the collection fund service. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the collection fund service, when the unitaries set their own level of council tax, they assume a collection rate to allow for bad debts and so rather than 100%, they might assume in their planning that they'll get 98%. For instance, at the end of the year, they would have actual figures, and if that tends to be more than 98%, then there's some money available as a service, and then for authority, we could receive a share of that. So there's good news there that we know we receive £235,000 as a share of those collection fund services. And the tax base itself has gone up from 360,000 to 369,000. So the tax base is effectively the number of properties in our than the council tax. We do actually additional precept just as a result of new properties in the area. So collectively, we're already receiving an additional 828,000 from 1920 from precept, even without looking at our level of council tax. If we go for option 1, 2.99%, that'll generate another £787,000. So we would have a £1.6 million increase in our precept. So I failed to mention in the finance assessment, which I dealt with in December, our assessment for next year would be reduced by 2.45%, which is 396,000. So that was the figure that was year 4 of our austerity programme. Also within the pack is Appendix 3. We have done some comparisons with other foreign authorities, and you will see from the graphic that based on 1819, so the current year, our £71.35 ranks 12th lowest level of all foreign authorities, and they range from £100 to £58 for 1819, so at the lower end, not the higher end. Locally retained business rates is the next section I just wanted to quickly cover. Again, we've now had information from our unitary authorities on the amount of business rates that we will receive. So on page 65. So there's a table there which just confirms the amount of funding that we will receive from locally retained business rates. So for 1920, the unitaries have now told us that we will receive 4.631 million. Which is a slight reduction actually on the current financial year. For those of you that might have been close to this is around the business rates retention system. So at the moment we have a 50% business rates retention system. So we receive a share of the locally retained business rates from the 4 unitaries. So they have to tell us what it will be for next year. So those are the figures in there. So these have changed from the presentation in December. Just for information, I know I touched on it in December. The 50% retention system will be moving to a 75% retention system from 2020-21. And I did attend the local government workshop a few weeks ago just on this subject, and it's quite clear that alongside the change to the business rate retention system and alongside what's going to be called a fair funding formula, there are some changes, a redistribution, if you like, to take place from 2020-21. Obviously, until we get closer to that time, it's difficult to assess where Avon Fire might fit in that redistribution.
Very good idea.
Well, it does.
No, it's a good idea.
Well, they tell us that. Well, they tell us that some of the money might move away from London to some of the other areas, but we'll see. Obviously, in terms of our plan, that creates an uncertainty that we would certainly need to be aware of moving forward. On page 66, just to quickly talk about budget development. Again, we went through this in December, but the work that's been taking place over the last 2 or 3 months is for the team to work with budget managers across the organisation to come up with a budget for 2019-20 to include any investment issues or growth that we may be aware of. So in that table we will see that we've included an element of payrolls and inflation. So there's over £1 million of inflation in payrolls that we're assuming 3%. So again, we're assuming a 3% payroll from July 2019. But that's just what we provided. That's not to say that that's what we would agree. That's obviously subject to national discussions in the normal way. But from a budget point of view, we're assuming a 3% increase. On the commitment side, we have listed all of the changes on page 67 and 68. But just to bring up the main issues, you will see that there's a reduction in capital financing of 303,000. That's good news. That's largely because we've had the capital receipts from the Evacuation and corporate side, at 10 million cash in our bank, then we've been able to use some of that to repay some of our debt. So by repaying that debt, we have reduced our ongoing debt charges. So that reflects that. That is good news. Within the commitments of 701,000, so these are the areas where we're putting more money in. There are certainly some issues around new staffing that we had to put in, specifically around technical fire safety posts and also additional budget to support our support staff. But the other big one, the other issue in there I just wanted to mention is around pensions. And there is definitely some uncertainty around pensions, which is ongoing. For 2019-20, there is certainly a huge uplift in the employer's contribution that we make to the pension fund. So at the moment, as an authority, we are contributing in the order of 17%, which is a huge bill. That will be going up to an average of 30%. So there's 4 different schemes, so there's an average of 30%. So there's a huge increase in pension costs to take place from next year. Total cost for us is in the order of 2.3 million additional to our budget, so that's a huge uplift in pension costs. The government kindly said that for next year they will fund 90% of that, so the government will give us a grant for 2,035,000, but we have to put $250,000 into our base budget to fund the pension costs. But you may be aware there are other issues, legal challenges going on around pensions at the moment, which could possibly add to that bill in the future. So that's something to keep.
Obviously, with the court judgment, which we get in favour of the have we got any idea if the government's going to cover the costs if their bill falls, or will it fall to firefighters to cover that?
I mean, that is the $64 million question, unless you know anything different.
Because I have asked, as chair of the pension board, I have asked for clarification on some of the stuff that we've been sent for, what we see nothing to do with you.
So I think I've got to send you Bristol.
Because it's, I mean, if it falls to us, it's going to be
Chris, I haven't got the answer to that. As all I can say, I know that when all the pensions were changed, that's been 3 or 4 years ago, and a huge uproar about that change in pension benefits, etc. The whole issue was to give money to the Treasury because the Treasury wanted X amount of money to contribute towards all the austerity. So that's the starting point. That's where it started from. So unless they're completely a U-turn on all that, then. But I think, if this bill fell on the fire sector, there'll be a huge outcry to come. Because to lower all of that onto us would be hugely damaging to our own budget.
I think we should not forget that the government doesn't have any money. It's only our money. So even if the final authority doesn't pay for it, the population as a whole will. So Chris should be very grateful to somebody, whether we are on the final authority or not, we'll still pay.
I've not got anything to add. I've not seen anything to suggest members are going to contribute at the moment. But
Not personally, but...
no, I mean, yes.
Taxation, yeah.
I understand.
I think it will be wrapped up within the comprehensive spending review plan. There's rumour and word on the street, if you like, but we think that the changing of accrual rates may well take up slack from the actual funding issue, if you like, and actually there'll be increased benefits as a result of that. But it will be through accrual rates rather than through cash system.
There's a lot of people talking about policy effect, literally there, but there's a lot of people that have been retired. There's lots of changes. I mean, it's going to take forever. It's a lot of uncertainty.
So budget development side of things is covered on page 66 and 67 in terms of the changes. So for next year we have, in order to provide a balanced budget, we've had to find savings of £359,000. So by working with budget managers across the organisation, we've been able to trim budgets in order to provide a balanced budget for 2019-20. And those savings are outlined on page 68. So before leaving 2019-20, members today decided that we would rather go for a 2% increase rather than 2.99%. Then we'd have to find additional savings of £264,000. So my suggestion would be that we would take reserves to start with, but look to further discussions about identifying savings for next year. There's some graphics on pages 68 to 69 around where our money comes from and how it's spent. On page 71, we're now talking about our medium-term financial plan. So we've revisited our 4-year plan on the basis of the work that we've been doing in 2019-20. So a bit of horizon scanning. So we've assumed pay awards of 2%. We've assumed increases in council tax for the next 3 years beyond 2019-20 of 2%. And that's purely for the purposes of planning. And obviously the more difficult one is around our future government settlement. I've already mentioned that there will be changes around the business rates retention system, and there will be a fair formula funding review. And where that takes us, it's very difficult to assess. As somebody mentioned, the terrible austerity is over, so we might have, some time ago, we might have thought we might get some increases for a change, but that seems to have been taken off the table in terms of discussions. And discussions I've seen within prior treasurers, we ought to be planning for standstill or further reductions rather than increases. And that's largely because fire isn't in there as a protected services, whereas we know that adult social care and we know that.
I make a comment because it's not actually true. Austerity is a little term in terms of politics and that vernacular. But it is a fact that the budget remains in deficit. So what is actually happening is the rate of increase of the national debt is slowing. And people who should know better sometimes comment as though everything's fine, we can just carry on. But our national debt is eye-wateringly large, and there's a lack of understanding between the deficit and the national debt. The rate at which we overspend is decreasing. If that's not the same as saying it's fine. I know Chris Jackson is on the Labour side of the House, and I know that Jeremy Corbyn has a magic monetary, but those of us who understand it from this.
Perhaps we'll change ourselves from Major Fire Rescue to the UDP.
I think we are.
Get a lot of money then.
Yeah, I think we are straying into political philosophy, Councillor Wilson here, because I would wholeheartedly disagree with everything you just said about taxation. But what we are today, we're stuck with what we've got, with a minority government, being hot to other parties, and that's the way they're giving us.
Well, Councillor Davies, it is in fact that the national debt is where it is.
It is a fact.
It is a fact that the budget remains in deficit.
It does.
Right, so let's just stop there.
It's also a fact that Theresa May said on the 3rd of October last year that austerity is over.
Yeah, I accept that.
Chris was
I accept that.
correct.
But that's political optics. It is a fact that we are in deficit.
Could we possibly go back to the budget? Chair, can I ask a question on the budget, please?
Well, I'm more than happy to ask a question. I wonder, Kevin, do you deserve any more before we have a debate? So I'd like to
I think
just make all members aware of anything you want to tell before we...
if you can just bear with me 5
Is that
minutes,
okay, Mark?
if that's okay. So yeah, the medium-term financial plan, my issue is Treasury looking at 4 years is a huge amount of uncertainty around future government settlements, around the pensions issue, around future payrolls. So we need to encapsulate that into the medium-term financial plan. So our forecast at the moment is that for 2019-20 we can set a balanced budget. Looking ahead 3 years beyond that is our view that we ought to be looking at potentially further ongoing savings of 2.6 million for this authority, based on the uncertainty that I've built into those forecasts. We would really hope that we're wrong, and I think it would be prudent to work on the basis that there will be further challenges ahead. Just moving forward, page 72, we have a graphic of the funding gap that I've just expressed, and further information on the savings in the table on page 73. Just to spend a couple of minutes on the capital programme. The capital programme that's in place at the moment was agreed 12 months ago in February 2018. Members will be well aware that since that time we've had the capital receipts of in total at the end 18 million from the sale of twin features. But we haven't revisited the capital programme to see what that means for us. So within the capital programme here, and that's capital programme is summarised on page 74. We are now including spending on the 3 sites that have been agreed under the reinvestment in the future programme. So those are 3 sites at Avon, Western and Bath. So latest estimates for those 3 projects is 14.2 million, but that's estimates that we provided to us. Obviously, as these projects develop and we have further information, we'll need to revisit the cost, because obviously we've come back to the authority before any contract commitment is made. So the capital programme itself, and I've tried to summarise this on the table on page 74, is we're increasing the capital programme for the 2022-23 from 13 million to 26.9 million, which obviously reflects the main the 3 schemes that I just mentioned. But the good news is that whilst it's increasing by 14 million, our need to borrow over that period is reduced from previously forecast 11.7 to 8.2. So that's obviously on the basis that the capital receipt that we have was 14 million will be ring-fenced to be used on the 3 schemes. The other 4 million obviously replaces what we would have had to go out and borrow externally. So that's good news in terms of our borrowing requirement in the future. In terms of the programme itself, it includes the 3 issues we just talked about, the 3 projects under investment in the future. Other issues are that we're including for the first time a refurbishment of Bedminster. I think most members are aware of the backfire around the issue of Bedminster Fire Station. So So we're including a 1.5 million estimated cost for that works to take place. But through discussions with the property services manager, we have reduced the general improvement programme by £1 million, because quite realistically, the focus will be on these major projects rather than other works that might take place. So capacity-wise, there's agreement to take into account that. So there is an overall increase of £500,000 on the property side of things. On fleet, ordinarily we would be talking about slippage into future years. So capital, by its very nature, to slip because of timing and lags in projects. So on the fleet side of things, there has been an issue this year that there will be an underspending of in the order of 1.8 million. And there have been issues, and those may well be around the supplier. Dennis, as I understand, is no longer doing. So we have to look for a new supplier. Or fleet management, we've had a vacancy in the fleet department for some time. So things haven't, there is a backlog. So through discussions with the team, I'm not suggesting that we ordinarily just move that into 2019-20 because there is a bit of a catch-up to take place. So through agreement with the management team, rather than moving that £1.8 million into fleet, we're moving it into a digital project which is very much around an investment that's included within the service plan around moving to smarter ways of working through digital systems. So we've earmarked that £1.8 million at the moment for investment in that programme over the next 3 years. So that's the programme, capital programme that's there. So you'll see it's a programme of 26.9 million that we're asking the authority to approve as part of this paper. Just quickly, normal to include in this paper a review of charges. So from the 1st of April next year, our charges are reviewed, and we are suggesting in this paper an increase in charges in line with consumer prices. Yes, which is what we normally do. So that's what's reflected in the charges. And just finally from me, as part of this paper, the legal requirement is that I have to provide what's called a Section 25 report, which is a statement around the robustness of this budget and adequacy of reserves. So I provided a statement on pages 76 and 77, which is largely around what I've said this morning, that we should be looking at a 4-year period rather than a 1-year period. And I'm comfortable that the proposal for a revenue budget in this report for 1920 is a sound basis for a budget. In terms of reserves, obviously it's always a discussion around reserves, and we have used some reserves in recent years. But having looked at reserves, I'm of the view that those reserves are adequate, not generous, but they are adequate for the purposes of this authority. So we have included a revised statement of reserves in our as Appendix 7. So, Chair, that's all I want to say at the moment. So, my questions, there are recommendations on page 61 and 62. Obviously, open to questions from that.
Thank you. Well, Mark Shelford asked first.
Thank you very much for your extensive work. There are two things that jump out, which is the first question is I've asked this before, where is our total level of borrowing identified, and as a consequence, our total level of interest payment upon that borrowing identified? Because I can see different bits of capital and capital spend, and I can see a little bit of borrowing, and you said we reduced that, and it's gone down to so on. But where did you get the whole thing together in one place?
If I may answer that, can I suggest you hold that question for the next paper?
Okay. Secondly, I am slightly concerned with your throwaway line of 1.8 million has been taken out of the annual purchase of fire engines and is now going into a digital smarter way of working. Could we have a little bit more of a brief on that?
Would you want to Yes, I can. So the underspend for fleet for this coming year is the result of a number of things that have come together. One is no orders have been placed with our previous supplier because they've declared that they're not building fire engines anymore. So we now have to go through a new framework for procurement, which we've got to go for the selection of the right appliance. Also aligned to our review of our integrated risk management plan, so ensuring that when we make a decision to purchase the right appliance, it fits our risk profile of the organisation. The other part is some capital projects have not come to fruition as a result of some staff vacancies as well that were planned. And the fourth aspect of that is also around the fleet replacement strategy review that members are asked for with regards to when the life cycle of the appliance as well. So that's all of those coming together has produced an underspend within our capital expenditure for appliances. We will be making some more orders this year for appliances. We're trying to put that together now. But that has resulted in that underspend which has been moved to reserves, and the suggestion is that as part of our digital programme and our commitment within our draft service plan at the moment is that will need some capital investment to make us much smarter in how we organise the service with regards to that digital programme, particularly investment not just within our day-to-day work but also in the fireground as well, and using technology to make our firefighters and our community safer. And therefore we've identified that as an opportunity to invest in those areas.
Okay, so I understand what you said. I understand the reasons why. What I'm not sure about, and maybe I missed something, is the so what of the why. In other words, we stopped buying for a year. What does that mean? And have we been briefed on that? Secondly, I understand why you think that it's a good idea to put money into being smarter. Have we been briefed on how that is going to roll out and why we're doing it? Because we've talked previously about IT services. This is not that. So this is the first time we've heard this, I think. Because I don't recall being briefed on this before. So to drop it in the middle of of a budget is is slightly unkind. It's a bit of a surprise, and perhaps we should be briefed on it before we go ahead and agree it.
Look, you're absolutely right, Councillor, of course, and we've just earmarked that the underspend within capital into reserves. An option of how we would reinvest that back into the service is our digital programme. That is in our draft plan. Of course, that has to be agreed. And at an appropriate time, and we'll come to members for that relevant spend in those areas. It's just an opportunity to say, okay, looking forward over the next 3 years with regards to our plans for the service, that has got to be needs investment. So we've got this underspend in that capital expenditure. That's a possibility where we can invest that money.
And if I may add, we need to modernise our organisation. We have areas of the organisation where we have outdated processes, we use hydraulic systems, and we need to digitise our organisation. We need to have coherent systems that talk to each other. At the moment we don't have that, so we need to invest. And there is an opportunity here. But it's not just about digitising our organisation. There's also business process re-engineering that's needed here, because we have more than one entry point for certain systems. We have single points of failure. We need to modernise, and this is part of that programme. It is within our draft plan. It is within the authority's draft plan, the investment in digital technology. And that's not just for the business, but it's also for the fireground as well. As Simon rightly said, it is for keeping our firefighters as safe as they can possibly be with the best kit equipment they can possibly have. So this is a modernisation agenda and a continuation of our improvement agenda that we're talking about investing in here. And it is laid out within the authority's draft service plan.
Just to clarify then, Chief, this situation, the £1.8 million we didn't spend because our supplier has not received the trade in fire appliances. We are moving that into reserves, and that proposals will come forward in due course to the authority on how that reserve fund may or may not be spent.
There is an opportunity here.
I suppose we haven't decided exactly to spend on something else.
I'm much happier with that phraseology than I am with the phraseology in
Is that correct, then, my understanding? It is true, yes. No decision has been made where to spend that money and how to spend that money. It's an opportunity to identify that unspent and put it back into a capital programme elsewhere in the organisation. Of course, in terms of your question around what does that look like, we're still going through that at the moment, and those proposals will come back to fire authority for approval.
Okay, so I'm much happy with that, and I know you're just beginning, but the first question that I asked was it for so what of not replacing those fire engines in this last year? What is that knock-on effect for the operational capability?
Yep, that's a very valid point in that at the moment we need to place an order this year. If we don't place an order this year, that might have longer term impact. It's provided us with an opportunity to review our fleet replacement programme and obviously the life cycle of an appliance and how we look at that life cycle of appliance. So that's what provided with this opportunity that almost pause in our current programme of the repetition of so many vehicles purchased each year on a rolling programme.
Now, Simon, you will recall 4 years ago, as a very new member of this authority, I asked exactly the question, why we buy so many engines a year? And I was told that it was absolutely vital to do so, because if we didn't, our operational capability would fall off a cliff. And that's because once they got to a certain age, they put in the reserve, and once that reserve had been used up for maintenance and everything, we wouldn't be able to operate. So suddenly, we've had a year where we haven't fallen off the cliff. Now, the so what of that is, could we go for 2 years without falling off the cliff? Could we go for 3 years? And we've had no risk brief on this, as far as I'm aware, at any of our fire authority meetings. This is the first time I've heard of it. Have I been secret with it?
No, you're right. Obviously, these questions have been raised at the Procurement and Transport Improvement Board as well around our fleet replacement programme. We've had new appliances in 2018, so this is the first year that we've yet to place those orders, but they take some time for them to be seen in the organisation, because obviously the manufacturing time frames that it takes, and we're just in the process of looking now. We've got our risk profile around small, medium and large appliances. We currently have a mixture fleet, so we have 12-ton, 15-ton and 18-ton vehicles. We're currently exploring a 10-ton vehicle, particularly in city areas where we've had problems previously with regards to access with increased parking in our cities. That's the piece of work that we're currently doing. We're hoping to place some orders this year, but there's been a delay of a few months as a result of that.
That's great, but you didn't answer the question. The question to me is, it's a risk issue,
Yes.
and I want to know what the risk is right now we face, and then if we extend this a second and third year, what the risk is to operational capability. So far, but basically you're giving the impression that there is no risk, and we're cool, and we're good.
Of course there's a risk, Councillor, because you couldn't extend the life cycle of a vehicle ad infinitum. So there will come as a balance. And at the moment we have a vehicle replacement strategy based around a current paradigm and a current system, which is 12 years and 15 years. So it comes off of the run after 12 years, goes into a reserve fleet, and then is disposed of after 15 years. We're currently exploring what is the potential of us extending that, but that needs some work and some science. Other services do extend vehicle life cycles longer than that, and we need to have a look at that, because it will depend on the demand on that individual vehicle. We do balance that at the moment by moving vehicles around during its life cycle. But there are other things at play here, and there are other things that happen. Our main supplier are no longer supplying, so we need to go through the right framework process. But more than that, we need to make sure we're buying the right things for the future, because we've got 10, 12, 18-ton vehicles, 12 and 18-ton vehicles driving around in the centre of Bristol with really difficult access problems. So there's a number of issues that are conflated within this problem.
And what we're doing is we're taking this opportunity to solve two things here. One is to give us that time and space to make sure we know exactly what we're doing and that we manage resources to risk according to our integrated risk management plan of the future, small, medium and large vehicles, according to need and according to risk, crewed appropriately with the right kit and equipment on. That's what the whole IRMP is about. So it's that opportunity. The other opportunity is we need to modernise as an organisation. So if we don't spend that capital for this 1 year, can we live with it? The answer is almost certainly yes. Can we cope with that risk? Almost certainly yes. But this is a one-off situation for us, and it's an opportunity for us to invest digitally where we need to. And as we've quite rightly identified, any projects that we do bring forward, quite rightly, there is a process in place where we bring it to the authority to say, are you comfortable with where we're going with this, and are you happy to sign off that spend in terms of the digital transformation program? Does that answer the question?
There is a follow-up, which we'll wait until lunchtime to answer.
Okay.
But I do think you made a very good point, Mark. And I think that perhaps in a roundabout way, we've just got the answer. We aren't going to fall off the cliff, but actually the most sensible thing that I've heard so far is we're going to review the vehicles we need for the longer term and get the right vehicles rather than just order the vehicles. Potentially, is what we did when we first arrived 4 years ago.
We have a plan around a vehicle replacement programme around what vehicle is due for replacement year on year for the next 15 years. And we have that available to us. Currently, we haven't placed order this year. We've done last year, so we've done that. So we're in a position at the moment where there'll be 3 a year in theory. That's what the plan is based on, roughly 3 appliances a year. So if that risk it does materialise in that it's too great for the authority, we can increase that purchase because we haven't spent the money, we've still got it. So we have got some contingencies in place.
I quite like when we put in a new bid. We had green fire engines go. I really enjoyed working with green fire engines. Change the colour.
There may be a little ones in the future. They'll do that.
Waste of patience. I remember extremely well that one thing, and I remember Mark Shelton and I saying pretty much the same thing, and used an important word where we use language reflects on psychology, paradigm. The thing about paradigm is you don't challenge it like a needle in an old-fashioned LP record until somebody comes along and says, why are you doing this? And I asked questions about response times, and I was told by the then chair that was a question I may not ask, which surprised me. And a lot of what you've said this morning, I think, is music, because it reflects a different psychology amongst our management team. Because what I would like to see, which I hope is what we're talking about, is something akin to the MOD Strategic Defence Review, which is what is this service for? And then starting with what is the mission, how do we dimension the service to achieve that mission, which is what you're talking about, isn't it? Smaller trucks. I asked the question at the time, if the majority of what we're doing is road traffic accidents, why we've got a bloody great fire engine, which is going to be difficult to get down the hard shoulder of the M4 if we don't smash. And I was told you can't ask that. We also had a hovercraft, I don't know if he's still there, and there were rumours that Chief Forester wanted a helicopter. So I think it's not for us as lay people to tell you as firefighters how to run the operation, but I do think, personally, I would like to see that piece of work undertaken, where we go back to basics, what is the service trying to achieve in the future, and how do we dimension every aspect of the service. And I think the other element is, I think the truth is, you've already answered it, is that we don't want to give 1.8 million back, so we'll put it in something which is ill-defined and then called digital. That's okay, but in terms of reference, if we could use technology to get more out of the existing fleet. So the MOD again, they will place a contract with BAE Systems to say, I want 30 Typhoons ready to go at a given time. And then it's about capacity planning, isn't it? Because if you've got clever technology, you can deploy vehicles whichever's closer, effectively you've got a quicker response. Is that what you're
Councillor, you very articulately described the integrated risk management plan and our service plan, and our draft service plan, because that's what this is designed for. It's designed to challenge our current paradigm, to challenge our current thinking,
and also to make sure that we better match resources to risk. And we've got the best kit and equipment, the best fire engines, but they're fit for purpose, with the best kit, equipment and training for our firefighters, and with the best technology that we can afford.
Well, I don't want to bring up the costs, those of us who were there at the time will remember, but it hasn't always, let's just say it's been somewhat occasion, hasn't it?
Chair, can I answer to that? The next procurement transport improvement board, we've got a presentation, new software report, which gives us our risk analytical process. The next board meeting we've got for the improvement board is starting to look at what the risk number crunching is of providing what new vehicles would look like and what's carried on them. And again, some of the risk profiles that may not carry different types of equipment in the centre of Bristol compared to maybe a more rural station like Blackpool. And that piece of work is starting. We've only just bought the software, but we're having a presentation next improvement board. Which accounts for Shelford obviously chairs.
And that in turn will influence the type of vehicle that we require. It's a real opportunity for us to review and refresh what we've previously been doing. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, and most of this is covered by Mark, but just for the firefighters' information, we don't get brand new fire engines every single year. I mean, there's over the years, some years you don't get new ones because you bought some so long ago and when you extended the life. So a 1 year is not ever and has never in the past and will never in the future cause us an issue. There's always a risk that they break down and stuff, but it's happened from ever since I joined. We always had a vehicle replacement, which were in the papers, weren't they? Every vehicle that was being done. And you do get the occasional lag here for different reasons. I remember when we changed the Dodge to man. That was a difficult period. So a one-off now and again, you can quite easily, I wouldn't want to say we should do it all the time, but you can overcome it. So I'm not too concerned with it. And the IT stuff, as long as that's coming back to us, as you assured Mark, then I'm happy with it. The two things I want to make, the interest on the loan, what they owe us, from the sale of their quarters. Is that interest built into this? So, because we've got 2% book basically. So, how long is it before they got paid? Start paying it back?
Within 5 years.
Alright, so really, because we don't need the money, it's better off getting the interest in for a longer period of time.
Yeah, it's a good deal in that sense.
Yeah. And secondly, then it's the fire station. Now, obviously, there's some really bad workmanship that went on, and we're in legal talks with the people who tried to do the extension. That 1.7 million, we're going to be carrying out the repairs whilst that dispute is going on. We're not going to wait for the dispute to see who got paid to do it, are we? Because it's awful. It's really, really.
It's designed to deal with it, as well as some other improvements within the station as well.
So, all I'm trying to say is that the outcome of the legal stuff is not going to stop us putting that station into an applicable station.
No, it's not.
So when will work start?
I don't know. Anyone here will probably answer that question.
My understanding is legend sort of spring, summer of which we're obviously spring now, but post-April of this year, my understanding talking to the premises, that was the latest of thing. But of course, they're also dealing with the Avon project as well. But they have got it as a project.
Yeah, the Avon project, that's fine, but this is, because that's nothing's out yet. This is something that has fell apart and needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. So I don't want that held up at all, because I was down there and it is appalling. You wouldn't live in it yourself. I mean, the place is falling apart. So I wouldn't want any delay in that, waiting an outcome of the legal thing, or the fact that you're saying we've got something that is going to stop it because we're dealing with legal life in the future. This is now.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to stop it. Of course,
no, but you said it
delayed. No, so we've got so much capacity in the team, but their plan is to push ahead with those improvements this year. That is their
As
current
quickly
plan.
as we can, absolutely.
Sure.
the Bedminster, because of the Bedminster project, we're doing some work at the moment. We need to get a crane in, a 90-ton crane. So we're just doing the work around the bridge over the Malaga, of making sure that it can go across.
I'm aware of that.
We've done some work with the Army as well, so that if there is a need to keep the station operational, what we don't want is the mitigation of going across on a crane, getting into the site, then do the work. If we then cause an issue to the bridge, the Army have said that they've identified us the mitigation so that we can actually put another bridge in place.
I'm aware of it. I am aware of
That's
that.
in
I'm close to the station where I'm aware of that. Around about that sentence.
In fact, I think we should have declared a vested interest.
Well, I was thinking
And it's the inability to get to the server.
that's the
No, it's just that is really poor. And I do not want, they've been promised a year ago that we'll be starting in the spring, and then it was over in the summer, and then it'll be, so it's over a year that they promised it started.
Council, I rode with them just before Christmas, spent the night with Red Watch down there. I understand that you can see the state of the station, and unfortunately, the bit of the building work that has caused us the issue is we're in legal challenge with at the moment. The watch I was on were kept up to date, asked them if they're being kept up to date by the premises team, that they were being informed of what's happening next, and they said they're absolutely happy with that, and they were getting informed at every part of the process.
I agree with you. All the stations happy with being informed, but what they're not happy with is they're being informed that it ain't going to happen. You know, they're being told what's happening, absolutely nothing on a regular basis, but that's what they're upset about. Although they're being told about it, nothing has changed in over a year.
So can we please make sure that on this meeting we inform the members of the teams what's happening
No, they know that nothing's happening.
There's something's happening, don't they?
But nothing is. That's the issue. Every time they get informed, they say, oh, it's been delayed. That's all they get informed.
What they need is a projected start date.
Yeah, they need a time.
Okay, leave that last one, but we'll make sure that the station is ready.
We need to send Councillor Jackson regular invoices for food.
I was wearing it on the bridge about all the extra load we have to bring. Alan Hale.
The only point I wanted to make was that it is reassuring to hear that we're actually looking at what we need rather than buying off the shelf. Because in my previous role for road safety, we did the former girlfriend or whatever they're calling it now. And every time one of the sort of a hybrid elevated thing turned up, massive race trap, we bought 3, 4 off. Absolutely nobody had a good word to say about it. They'd been purchased and put there. And on a shout, apparently they were not very stable. So the fact that we're actually starting from scratch to look at what we need is what we do.
The grants were from the government, the combined rescue and every other time.
That's what we're looking at.
Combined rescue and everything else crap. But the government was saying we had to do that so you can save jobs. So you could have an aerial and a pump. Rather than, sorry, you'd have one approach rather than everything. They were enforced on us. We didn't want to do it.
No.
Believe you me, I was a union rep at the time. We fought something anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's
We have
fine,
no
but-
choice.
But it's still reassuring.
Yeah, it is very reassuring. Yeah.
Richard.
Chairman, I intend to speak to the debate rather than pose a question. As Councillor Jackson and others know, I'm invariably both philosophically and politically argue in favour of the lowest increase in taxation for diesel. And I would even say that the emergency services like fire, we need to ensure we have best value where procurement and other expenditures considered. Although I'm quite new to this body, serving on it for under a year, I'm impressed that increasingly members seem to be raising those issues, so that's good. It seems to me though, we're facing not completely quantifiable but significant pay costs increases, certainly pension impacts, And although in year one we're told the government will fund 19%, I would very much doubt it will go on beyond that. And there are other inflationary pressures, I'm sure aware, of the equipment and other service budgets. Crucially, as officers have said, if we accept the lower 2% increase, we would have to find almost 270k further savings. Personally, even if we keep it into touch for a while by taking from reserves, I find that's difficult to achieve at a time we have to ensure the fire authority is fit for purpose. So my vote will be for the 2.99% increase.
Bob Garland.
Yes, thank you. Various things. I hope that this review will include a review of the need or otherwise of these IT improvements. Because when I log on to my computer, I'm offered improvements from Virgin Media. Yes, it's very clever to be able to do this while you're doing that and looking at something else. Is it necessary? Because I would have thought that firefighting was very basic operation, getting equipment and experts from A to B in a controlled fashion. Do we need any smarter version of that? One of the, changing the subject slightly, one of the rules that I was taught at the Ministry of Defence is, the best is the enemy of the good. Do we need to change vehicles just because we always do change vehicles? Because in industry and commerce generally, the phrase, we do this because this is what we do, is all too common. So we really need very strongly to go back to why we are refurbishing vehicles, or why we're refurbishing it this year as opposed to 3 years hence. Why? We've got into the habit of a pattern of buying new vehicles, but we've always got an average age of so much. That's the question. And are we entitled to ourselves? And finally, Rob talks about we this and we that. Has the contractor accepted liability through his loss adjustment insurance? Because we may be doing a lot of work but we don't get reimbursed for it.
It's not a matter of we should be discussing in public. All I can really assure you that the appropriate steps are in place to protect our position.
Well, as long as the appropriate steps do not include interfering where we shouldn't be interfering, we should say, purpose you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's around to support Richard's position on 2.99. And for me, the issue is, if you don't take the opportunity to increase your base budget when you can, you just build up problems for future years, and some local authorities have ran into these problems. Because it's likely there's going to be some form of capital budgets in the future, as there has been in the past. And if you go for the lower one, then when those caps come in, you cap it against that lower base. So I think we need to take the opportunity to increase the base as much as we can, and therefore do Richard's position on the increase of 2.99.
I would just be interested in what members' opinion was on the fact that Bristol and Bath are obviously expanding as university bases. Constantly in our council, full council meetings, there's also always the topic of mitigation for expansion. And when we think about council tax and think about business rates, and in relation to the universities, what's our view on that? Because universities and charities, so the business rates, there's a gap there. And all the properties that we're constantly getting in Bristol, we're sort of not able to get council tax in that. So you can see that there's quite a gap there, but obviously the demand for the service must be quite high on student properties. I mean, it might be a controversial issue for some people, but it's something that constantly comes up within our council, so why isn't it, is it something that we should also be
We have to say.
briefly discussing as an authority?
It's a planning issue.
Not, maybe we're not in a position where we can lobby universities or anything, but is there any discussion with them about, our funding, etc., the demand that they may have of us?
We can't charge for emergency response because it comes under the Fire Rescue Services Act. We have the opportunity to charge for false alarms, but only if under certain conditions and for, should we say, persistent offenders. And actually, we don't have that much of a problem because we've worked with them from a fire safety perspective over many years. We certainly engage with the universities in terms of road safety and fire safety, etc. But we do that on a community safety basis to reduce the potential for demand anyway. So,
This is not certain council, they ask the question of how much money the university contribute to our budget in relation to the amount of use of our services they're causing. Obviously, the fire was 2 years ago very close to where we are now, which is an awful lot. And of course, the the mathematics building last year. So, I mean, are they covering the cost, I suppose? And we as householders certainly are contributing nothing.
Can't count on the last one. Can't count on the last one.
Well, the content household.
That's mathematics.
Well, mathematics.
I got it.
Yeah, doesn't
Just
answer the
before
question.
when I was hearing all the
It's very much wrapped up in this move to the move to the ultimately the 100% retention system is about aim in itself stimulates the economy and generates sort of growth, and then ultimately the idea would be the authority to get a share of that growth. But I would say that's the aim. And in the meantime, the system is very complex and it's very difficult to nail down one particular bit of that growth redistribution system. I know I said it before. As an authority, the business rates revenue that is included in this report is only 1% of the total business rates that's received from the area. So we're very much at the table, but not really big players. So the stimulation of growth is very much part of the principle of the business rates retention system. The idea being that the area of Bristol and Avon would keep that growth rather than the capacity to
if I may, I don't know whether there is an element within our revenue support grant that comes from central government to cover universities and the demand that may place upon you. It may well be. But I do know that within the consultation about fair funding review, we have profit as a cost driver and something to be considered because there's a number of factors in there. The motorway that you have, university buildings is a good example of what is a potential cost driver. But actually, as officers, I don't think we see that much demand coming from universities.
Well, I've got indications of people who have already spoken which wish to speak against. Anybody that hasn't yet spoken wish to contribute? Okay. Neil?
Thank you, Chair. I would support the 2.99%. The difference seems to be reduced to pennies, really. And despite the excellent work that is going on, nonetheless, there are worrying areas that are not within these pages here. There's far too much red and yellow in my writing, and I think if it ever came to a point where somebody could point the finger to us and said, well, you've been stupid, at the margin, and somebody has died as a result of that, then we would very different.
Now, Mark Shelton, Nick Gordon, you think maybe we should speak again?
I am really excited
here, Councillor Buttons, has come to the senses and says that he doesn't like team yellow and team red. It's got to be blue. And I think that's fantastic. Just made my hair. But moving to
you're on the wrong track there.
Silly me. But Councillor Lake, I absolutely agree with the line of discussion that you started, and certainly within Bath Council we have done a lot of we've done a lot of work with the two universities in order to get some payment in kind. And I just wonder whether, because of our work with the university in Bristol, whether there's an opportunity for the fire service to engage with them in a way that perhaps they could help us in kind for the amount of work that we do. So we help them on their Freshers Week about education. We send the jolly old boat out at Christmas to make sure we're not jumping in the river. There's a whole raft of stuff that we do, not just putting out fires, but directly work with the universities, and they see the benefit of the fire service. Is there anything that we could be quite smart at and clever at to encourage the universities to support us for work that we do in a way that they know they're facing a shock about the change of their status down the road, because ultimately I'm sure government, or whichever team colour runs the country, will be changing their status. I don't think they're going to stay the same way. So I think it's a really good point of discussion, and whether it's something we might want to think about in the future.
I'm happy to take that Councillor, and have some consideration, and certainly go to the Vice Chancellors to have that conversation. Sure. Wilson?
Yeah, I'd like this bit of minutes, please, and this isn't going to be popular. On page 69, we see that the 77%, so something like 3/4 of our spend on employees. Those of us who were here in 2015 will remember the government consultation paper on the proposed integration of fire under TCC's office. At that time, we had of the order of 125 back office employees. We talked about IT, we talked about finance, all the governance that goes with running an organisation of this size. And Mark Shelford and I were the only two turkeys who voted for Christmas on occasion in supporting that proposal. And I would refer to Councillor Jackson's comments earlier in this meeting. Within economics, there's a concept called other people's money, and it's always easy to spend other people's money. It's always more difficult when we have to find it ourselves. And I agree with our interim finance treasurer, sorry, that I think it's prudent and appropriate that we should assume that we are going to have to foot the bill, and that central government is not going to come to our rescue. And as we've already had a discussion about the deficit and the national debt and the difference. So I would like to challenge the paradigm, another word that's come up in this discussion, because we've been offered here a choice between 2% and 2.99% increase. And if we introduced a unitary measure, which was crap, if you prefer, Councillor Jackson, then the savings that we would have to make was 1/3 the crap, because we wasted 1.5 million when we retired those two vehicles. So I don't accept the premise that there's nothing that can be done to save money, because were we, hypothetically, to integrate with the PCC, an awful lot of those 125 back office staff that we're currently covering could be shared with another organisation. And it's not the first time. Those of us who were here at the time will remember that we narrowly avoided building a brand new facility when the decision was taken to sell Temple back. And I used the phraseology at the time, it's a no-brainer, we must coexist at police headquarters and Forces Head, because to spend £15 million of taxpayers' money when there was excess capacity at Forces Head would have been unconscionable in my view. Unfortunately, that logic prevailed. But I would like to challenge accepted thought that it's cost up and we must spend more than we spent last year or we'll lose it. A bit like the 1.8 million, if we don't spend it, we'll lose it. I think there are things that we could do with technology to slim this organisation down, particularly when it comes to overheads and back office services. And I would just like that minute, because I don't accept the premise that we must spend more than we spent last year.
We can record that, Councillor Wilson, but I think, first of all, it's very, very, very unfair, and all the staff we have working in our support service and head office, I think they all work very, very hard, a lot of them do effectively more than one job to cover. Conversations with the police go on all the time about collaboration. In fact, a letter was issued by myself and the PCC last week on collaboration. And there is every piece of work they do as possible to try and reduce that cost. The idea that the police can suddenly take over all our back office functions is a farcical thing to say. And it's factually incorrect. I think it's quite rude to all the staff we have working, as if they're doing jobs that don't exist just for the sake of employing them. And I think really, if members of our staff do watch the YouTube video and can come back to us and complain about what you've just said, I think we fully justified in doing so. Alan Taylor.
I mean, I hear what Ian said about the difference between having the lower amount and the upper amount, and I don't argue with the upper amount. I just wish we wouldn't use the term "it's only pennies." There are people out there struggling, and the term "only pennies" doesn't resonate with them, because every penny, every pound is very important. So we shouldn't forget that. So terminology is very important.
Having been on the receiving end of some of our workmen, our officers, and having seen how hard they actually work, I don't think anybody would take anything away from them. The support staff, I suppose, are easier to attack in some way. But even then, I don't see how a lot of it can actually be taken over by the police without them employing extra staff to do it. Because they are cutting down on their staff, they are running in capacity in a lot of places. And yes, there were things said that we should share once we move to the Porter's Head, and there are probably some places where we could use shared capacity, but you can't just put extra work on the police staff because they would have to take on extra people to cover it. So it's a case of amalgamation rather than just handing over the work. So I don't think in reality it would probably save us much, but yes, we should be looking at where we can share work, surely.
And we are.
That was the premise.
Yeah, absolutely. Jane Davis.
Thank you, Chair. I also disassociate myself with some of the previous remarks. It is, I think, a false statement, and it's been proved, I think, in the vast majority of local authorities. Quite rightly, when their budgets are cut, they said they want to protect frontline services, and that is, no one can actually probably argue with that philosophy. The only problem is, what they do is cut the backroom staff. And certainly on our authority, and I guess you were not alone in that, the problem is that if you cut the backroom staff too much, the frontline staff cannot actually do their job because they need that background staff to support them. So I think, there's an object lesson going around, and I expect it's in all four authorities, to my knowledge. It certainly is in ours.
But it would be, if I may, it would be interesting to know that since we've lost staff over time, what the sickness rate now is with the back office staff, because the work doesn't go away, so you have people trying to do two jobs. And I mean, that's wrong, but it happens. Whether we're wrong. So it would be interesting to know whether the sickness level has gone up due to the service trying to do two jobs.
If I may comment, sir, for sure the organisation and the authority is undergoing a 26% reduction on revenue since 2010, and that's a significant fact. 200 firefighters postal thereabout, and 25 to 30%, I can't remember the total, professional services staff have reduced significantly. And we're a very lean organisation from that perspective, because quite rightly, the organisation and the authority protected frontline services as much as possible, as much as they could possibly do. We still lost 200 firefighters posts. The reality is, of course, is the professional services staff were reduced almost to single points of failure, if that makes sense, and we are reaping the benefits of that now. And we have had to bolster support functions over this last year, and we will continue to do so. There is sickness levels have gone up, for sure, but that's gone across the board, and that's because as a result of where we find ourselves as an organisation, no doubt. What we have to do as an organisation is we have a duty to collaborate. Of course we will collaborate. We'll collaborate not just with police but also with ambulance and any other partners where we can get benefit from that. Because it's really important that we can get economies of scale and effectiveness and efficiency as much as we possibly can for the public, for the pound, and get a better return on that investment. For sure, and we do have, and we have drafted our collaboration strategy in conjunction with our partners within the police. We will be having a joint statement in the future about our collaboration and what we're going to do in the future. But you know what? We are already collaborating in a lot of areas. There is a whole host of things that are going on right now, including sharing premises, etc., etc. And of course, we will continue that conversation because it's the right thing to do.
The Chief and I met with Sue Manstein on the 18th of January to discuss this very thing, and actually I think in terms of collaboration strategy, ours is further advanced than theirs. Can we now go to some votes, please, obviously, for the full and frank debate? I was going to suggest for ease of understanding, we go to, on a recommendation on page 61 to item E first, which is the Man-Council tax. I do take on board Alan Hale's comment about I think that's a very strong point to make. Richard Eddy has proposed, and I believe Ian Scott has seconded the proposition for option 1, which is the 2.99%. You both believe that can be minutes as such? So I'd ask, all in favour? Are there any against? Are there any abstentions? Okay, that's passed, so thank you for that. And I'm then going to go to items A to I, excluding item E, for the other parts of the recommendations. Do you have a proposal for those? Richard, seconder? Ian? All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Shall we go on to item number 10, which is the Treasury Management Capital Programme. Do you wish to make this again, Kevin?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The Treasury Management Capital Programme starts on page 92 of the papers today. I mentioned in my presentation on the budget that as regards to the capital programme, this hasn't been revisited since February 2019. So, as I mentioned in my previous presentation, on the capital programme, we've now included the inclusion of the 3 major projects, plus the other issues that we discussed in the previous as Councillor Shelford had identified. That's all very well, but we need to make sure that it is feasible. So this paper is very much around can we enforce that level of capital programme. And that's done by something called the Prudential Notice, which you heard. So the Prudential Code of Practice on Capital Finance tells us that we have to bring certain performance indicators to, so that you as an authority can be assured that the full affordability and sustainability is being considered in putting that capital programme together. So, if I can deal with the capital programme bit first. The proposed capital programme we talked about in the previous paper, which is again identified on the top of page 95, which for the next 4 years are those figures as mentioned. Moving on to page 96, at the top there, you will see information on one of those prudential indicators, which is called the capital borrowing requirement. So, excluding the TFI issue around Seven Park, this is an indication as to what our borrowing requirement will be over the next 4 years based on that capital programme that we've considered earlier. So for 1920, it's telling you that based on our programme, our borrowing requirement at the end of 2019-20 will be £16.565 million, moving to 22.2 million by 2022-23. The other issue around that is a mix of borrowing. So in the next table you will see that for 2019-20 we currently have £7 million of external borrowing, which is with the PWLB, which is the Public Works and Other Water. So that's an organisation where local authorities can get attractive rates. And we've got what's called internal borrowing of 9.565 million. So this is carrying on the good practice that this authority has had in the past. Well, so rather than going out and borrowing 16.565 million, we have internal cash balances, and so we're able to use that rather than taking that external borrowing. So this table here is saying by 2023, our borrowing requirement will be 22.2 million, which was forecast 15.2 million with the external borrowing, and internal borrowing will be 6.955 million. So these are projections based on here today. It will be very much affected by the timing of the capital receipt that we talked about earlier. But it will also be very much affected by the progression of those projects within the capital programme, because we've already said we're on the very next little slip. So behind this we need to have very effective cash flow forecasts so that we can review this as we go through. But today the important thing is to say, based on that capital programme earlier, there would be a borrowing requirement increase to 22 million by 22-23. That's in the backdrop of, I'm not saying this would be good news because we have this capital receipt, so the situation would have been higher had we not had this capital receipt. But obviously that has given us the opportunity to put redevelopment into those 3 sites. But if you look at historically, there's no longer any grant funding available from central government towards capital spending as there was in the past. So when the capital receipt reserve run down, the only opportunity we would have, other than taking money directly from our revenue budget, which is really extremely difficult, would be to take that external borrowing. So that table hopefully Council showed that that's providing the information about the impact on our borrowing. Our finance costs are included within the prudential indicators table, which is on page 98. This is the full range of indicators that we need to bring to you today. So the first one is the capital borrowing requirement, which I've talked about, but this doesn't fit the PFI at 7 part. There's a finance cost in the middle there, so we're telling you that the finance costs in 2019-20 will be 1.2 million, increasing to 1.3 million by 2022-23. These are fees included in the medium-term financial plan. These need to be expressed as a percentage of our revenue budget, so you will see that throughout this whole period, our financing cost ratio will be below 3% in each of those years. And I understand that the authority originally set an absolute maximum of 6% in principle, because it's a locally determined indicator. It's not something that is nationally put on it. So this indicator is well within that 6% that the authority previously said would be our maximum that we would go to. Just to complete that table, the operational boundary, we're putting the figure of 18.788 million, so that's saying that in that particular year, our borrowing limit was 18.788, so we wouldn't go beyond that for our capital funding. However, the next line is an authorised limit, and this is an indicator that you as an authority would allow the Treasurer to authorise borrowing in excess of that to deal with time of receipt. So if there was a time issue around the capital receipt coming in, then on a temporary basis we could go to that authorised limit. But I would say to you that this authority has never been anywhere near that maximum limit, and there's nothing in the programme that we would ever need to. So it's just a maximum indicator that the authority is setting today. So those are the range of indicators on the capital programme. Very much to do with affordability. The other element of this paper is around treasury management, and the important thing to say is that within this paper there is a revised annual treasury management strategy, which is included on page 103. I'm grateful to our colleagues at Bristol City Council because they have put this strategy together for us. This is not my area of expertise, so if there's any around this, the content of that strategy, I might have to come back to changes on that. But the important thing to say from my point of view is that I've not had discussions with Bristol City around changing the strategy. I'm only here on a temporary basis, so I think it's only right and proper that we try to keep with the strategy that was agreed 12 months. So this looks identical to 12 months ago. So there's no changes in there. I know we had a discussion at General Purposes Committee when we were looking at this year, and we had an initial discussion around, well, there is an issue this year that the authority has got increased cash balances. The cash balances today are somewhere in the order of £67 million. That the authority could look to increase its revenue from investing those balances. However, I'm not suggesting anything here that we change that. As members are probably aware, the arrangement at the moment is that cash balances are invested on a full basis with Bristol City Council, and they give us a rate which is equivalent to the library, the 7-day library rate. So we get a return in the order of 6% at the moment, but it's absolutely safe and there's no risk attached to it. So I'm suggesting that we hold that position for now. It may be at a later date that further discussions with other Bristol City or other authorities, there could be an appetite to do something different to get a higher return. At the moment we know a higher return means an increase in risk, and this strategy is very much about risk appetite. So I'm just having a hold position. I'm suggesting today that we have a hold position based on previous year. So we guarantee an income from Bristol City Council. All of us remember the issues around Iceland Banks and Northern Rock and things in the past. So things can go wrong when we start looking at other investment opportunities in the future. So on the investment side of it, I'm suggesting it stays the same. On the borrowing, which I've just looked at within the capital programme, the good news is that the £7 million of borrowing that we have at the moment, the public work loan board, is fixed. It's fixed for another 20 years or so. So there's no impact, there's no risk associated to changes in interest rates in the future that might happen. So that's good news. But obviously any further borrowing that we take will have to be looked at in the round. And my experience would be that when we do take borrowing, we would rely on the experts to advise us as to when that might be, which again need close work with at the moment, our arrangement with Bristol City. So Chair, I think I'll leave it there. That's the important thing today is we need to, before the start of the financial year, or first day of 2019, we need to have a revised strategy which is here today for approval, and the capital programme, and more importantly the financial indicators, need approval today to assure us that there's a full ability of the capital programme.
Yeah, I'll go through accounts and presidents because I'm not an accountant, okay, so
So I didn't, so,
I'm not an accountant.
right, okay.
But intuitively, I don't have a feel that 24 million for an organisation's got a revenue budget of the order of 44 million feels like a lot. So I suppose the first question is, you've got a breadth of experience there, I believe you came to us from Devon. So how does that compare with other fire authorities? Because that seems like quite a high gearing level.
It would compare quite favourably, I would suggest.
Okay,
This
so
it wouldn't be untypical.
So we can tick that box. And then the second question was serviceability, because the serviceability looks good at 2.84%. But what is that? Are you assuming the deferred lending at 6.9 million, are you assuming that that's free money, or are you charging some sort of internal rate of return?
There's no requirement to charge an internal rate of return.
So that's free?
Well, it's not free in the sense that obviously it's more advantageous for us to use it to fund our borrowing requirement, rather than taking out that cash, taking out that loan. Typically at the moment you probably get 3 to 4%. So if we went out and borrowed 9.5 million today, that would add interest, add to our financing charges.
Of course it would, yeah.
At the same time, it would reduce our interest, but bearing in mind at the moment, we're only getting 0.58%.
I get that. I just
So
want to know
that's
so have you assumed zero for the bit that's on cash surplus? Or has an internal rate of return been applied?
There's not been any internal rate of
So
return.
the answer is zero. Okay, because then the 2.84 figure, I think you alluded to this, is that solid? Because interest rates are historically very, very low level. But the world might look different, there's Brexit coming up. Let's just remember Brexit means Brexit. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But are you saying that that's pretty much rock solid, that's not going to change?
So, well, in terms of the interest, we assumed, I think within the strategy, Bristol advised us of projections of interest beyond 1920 for the purposes of the strategy. We haven't built any of that into what we've just said.
I mean, you mentioned PWLB here, and you said that was fixed for 20 years or something.
Yeah.
So does that mean that 2.84 is safe? Whatever happens with LIBOR, it's going to be there or thereabouts?
Yeah, just to avoid any confusion, that 2.84% is based on, that's all it is, it's straightforward, our financial charges today, the financial charges that will be in year 4 over our revenue budget. So it's an internal ratio for us to include our revenue.
Yeah, just the question is, what sensitivity is there if the interest rate changes? Because if it's financing very long-term debt where the interest rate is tied in fixed, a bit like a mortgage, we go for variable fixed, then we've got predictability, consistency, whereas if with LIBOR plus, then if LIBOR goes up, that figure's going to go up, isn't it?
Potentially. At the moment, as I said, we've got £7 million. I mean, the bulk of that 2.84% is our borrowing cost on the £7 million. Okay, so at the moment, we are paying interest to PWLB. The extent to which that ratio might increase will depend on future borrowing that we might take. And that will be subject to further discussions with our Treasury Management Advisor, because the world will change, the rates will change. But I would suggest to you that based on the programme that's here today, the volatility within that would be fairly low. There's nothing to suggest that 2.84 would raise significantly.
So the question I asked was, which table shows us the total of our borrowing and the total of the interest? Because you asked the question, by a lot of different ways, and I would like to see where the one figure is up to the total of our borrowing.
Okay. Right, okay. Our total borrowing as of today is £7 million.
£7 million. That's total borrowing.
Table here, 3.11.
Right. So the table above that, it says the underlying capital borrowing requirement, excluding PFI, which says 16.56. What's that borrowing?
Okay, so based on our spending to date, including this year's programme of 2018-19, what that table is saying to you that to fund historical spending and the capital programme of 2018-19, there's a borrowing requirement of 16.565 million. So that's your starter. That would be our need to borrow to fund our capital spending. However, through support and advice from our Treasury Management people, we've only got external borrowing of 7 million, which is the figure, and that 9.5 million is we deliberately not borrow because we're using internal cash to do so. So if you think we've got reserves tucked away inside, that gives us a cash balance. So we're able to use that to fund capital spending.
I'm really pleased to see you're shaking your head, you're nodding your head in a way to say that this is absolutely correct, because I find it rather tricky to understand.
A different scenario may have been that this authority could have decided our borrowing requirement is 16.565 million, and we will ignore our internal cash and we will go out to the market. So we could be here today saying, based on our historical capital spending, we would have an external borrowing figure of 16.565 million.
Okay. So
it's just
the total we owe anybody outside is 7 million.
Yes.
Right, and that's going to cost us 1.2 million
in financing costs. Yeah.
In finance, correct. Going back to Annex 4, where does the 1.2 million that we're spending to pay service back loans, where does that appear? And it may not be in Annex 4, it may be somewhere else, but where does it appear in our revenue costs?
Annex 4 of the budget report.
Well, it could be Annex 4, it's just one I chose at random out of many tables. You could choose another one. Page 87.
Okay. On Appendix 4 on page 87, that table is a summary of our revenue budget.
Very good.
Year 43.07. Within other costs is debt charges for 2019-20, which is split between. Okay, it's roughly, apologies I haven't got the exact figure to hand, the debt charges for next year are £1 million of debt repayment and 200,000 of interest.
Where does that appear? In other
It's
costs?
included within other costs on that.
Okay, so where is the actual breakdown of that figure? Which table?
I don't think it's here in the papers unless you tell me.
Okay, I didn't think it was, because I've been searching for it. I just wonder in future when you present the accounts, and I know that they are presented in a legal way, it would be really helpful for bears with little brains like me to have the total borrowing identified and the service costs of that borrowing identified as a revenue cost. So when we're looking at the revenue, when we're looking at doing the precept, it's really important to know what our borrowing is. And whilst you give us the figures of 2.3% prudential figure, and it's under the 3% or it can be up to 6%, that is good to know that, but actually to have those hard figures is useful.
Yeah, absolutely, but not a problem. If it helps, we can provide that after this meeting.
That'd be true. I did ask your predecessor that before, so he helped.
I'm not, the prudential indicators on page 98 is the minimum presentation to yourselves, if you like, in terms of that. There's no reason why we can't break that down further. So if it helps, I will certainly in the future suggest that that financing cost is broken down, which will give you the
And the reason why I asked that question is because it's one of those indicators for giving us confidence that actually we are scrutinising this budget properly, and we're not tearing away and going off and spending a huge amount of money that we don't have, and that it's sustainable. And it's a visible mechanism that's proven to us that is.
Yeah. So just about, if I may, just the particular line that I'm looking at on page 98, the financing costs. So 1.196 million in 1920. That is the net figure included in the budget of any financing costs less any revenue, any interest that we receive. So
that kind of confusing.
I understand. That's why this is the minimum we have to provide. I understand. There's no reason we can't break that down. So we can show the debt repayment, the interest, and the interest received, which is that big. But that's the build up to produce that. The ratio that's here is one of the indicators that is given that to provide reassurance to you that we're not.
Yeah, but I'm sure that the bottom line is, a lot of us are not accountants. So we look at this and we take it straight at face value without really understanding what it means. And when you say, don't worry, our borrowing is only 7 million, and that costs 1.2 million, then you have a whole bunch of figures here which suggest the borrowing is considerably larger. And then, where are we paying for that? In black and white it says figures like 43.071 in revenue terms. Finance costs as a percentage of revenue 43.0171. Now, that's a financing cost? No, that's the actual total revenue budget, isn't it? But the way it's written, okay.
I understand, but there's no reason why we can't adopt this to make it
please easier.
I think there's another point here, which is the accountancy I have studied, which isn't much, but we were taught that the first rule of accounts is to provide a true and fair view of what's going on in the operation. And if what you've done is assume that we've got cash balance and we're going to lend that to ourselves for free, then there's a danger that you are looking through rose-tinted spectacles when you're assessing these capital investment projects. And at some stage we're going to discuss ESN, which is a capital investment which didn't go very well. And unless there's a statutory reason why we can't do this, I would like the accounts to reflect the true cost of the project, including the cost of money, if you were to go to the financial markets, even if you're not doing that, in order to assess the project's attractiveness, because arguably you're artificially depressing the cost, aren't you?
Well, I would suggest it's only marginal in the sense of the rate at the moment, the interest
rates at the moment, I would agree with you, but we are
forecast from our trading down from the prices which are in the back. Don't suggest anything too volatile.
Well, I don't want to score any cheap points about Bristol City Council, but taking fiscal advice from the Treasury at Bristol City Council is also a forward risk. I mean, Bristol City Council has its own share of challenges, doesn't it? Well, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to safeguard the taxpayers' interest, and I think we should endeavour that the accounts present a true and fair view. And I agree with Councillor Shelford that we're not training accountants here, we don't make no claim today, and the numbers should reflect the true cost of some of these projects. So it's our job to assess them.
Well, can I point out to page 119, paragraph 57? Member of officer training, so I assume we'll get 100% attendance for all members at that training session when it's organised.
You know, I just wind up my calculator.
Have we any other members wishing to debate these? Okay. Can I go through the recommendations to be approved en bloc? Okay, do I have a proposer, please? Okay, I'll second. Your voters. Okay, so all those in favour of recommendations on page 93, please cheer in. Any against? Any abstentions? That's carried. Thank you, colleagues. We'll move on to item number 11, which is the HMICFRS inspection for action planning. I think Chief Charles will give a lead on this.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Members will be fully aware from the brief about the inspection and the outcomes from the inspection. A number of touch points. I provided you with verbal updates. We also provided you with a copy of the draft report on the day before the embargoed copy, the day before it was published. So members will be fully aware of the content. So this is just formalising that process really, to put this in formal context to members within the fire authority context for that record. But the main thing to point out from this is that, of course, from the report we need to respond. We did publish, as a service, we published our response to the report on the day that the report was published. But of course we now need to respond as an organisation with the improvements as identified. And what we have been doing, we have 56 days to produce an action plan, a full action plan in terms of what is it that we're going to do about the report and the outcomes from it. We're in the process of doing that, and we will do that by the deadline, which is the 12th of March. And what I propose to do, members, is to bring that action plan forward to you at the March 12th meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Mine relates to the top of page 1.2. States in there, train all staff in equality, diversity and inclusion. If we were to look at the individual training records of employees at the moment, for the people, so they all have to do it, would there actually be dates this year for people to do that training in their training record? If not, when will it be in their training record?
So there's a requirement for them to regularly do that training. We've done an audit and we're in the mid-90%, about 95% of staff that have taken that training and shown some records. We're currently just revising that training package and then relaunching that because it hasn't been revised for quite a period of time. So we're just in the process, as we speak, revising that package, going back out to staff, asking them to revisit that training so they can be aware of any additions that's made to that.
So the ones that doesn't change my base question, I know that you might not have the answer yet, but it's something. Can you give us an expected date? And I appreciate your turnover, but when existing staff will have completed that training.
Yeah, our realistic time frame is within a 12-month period we'll get everyone through that. We're currently at 95% showing on our records of staff that had the training.
Yeah, that's a slightly different issue. That's 95% of staff taking the existing training.
Yes.
When will you be at 95% of staff taking the new training?
Yeah.
Because if the existing training was sufficient, then you wouldn't be in this position.
Understand, we will bring forward the full action plan. Within there, we'll detail the areas that we're going to focus on. It will also give an indicator in terms of dates, times, who's going to be responsible, etc. So for each of these areas of the report, for each of the areas identified for improvement, we will detail exactly what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, why we're going to do it, and who's going to be responsible for it.
Chris Jackson?
Yeah, I've done the qualities diversity training, just the cats, but I'm very disappointed that firefighter members don't get the online annual training as a firefighter. We used to going back because it's all, once you've done your initial training. You just get the annual online stuff. I haven't had anything for ages. I'll do it every year because it counts. But I think if you've got firefighting members, we've got staff that's got to be trained in equality, diversity and inclusion. I think the firefighter will be there first. I think we should have that new stuff that comes out before it gets filtered down to anybody.
Yeah, there is an action plan we're putting together for firefighting training for next year, which will include diversity, including cohesion and quality training as well. We've just issued out a training session with our partner in Sorry, that members are invited to take part should they wish. And also the LGA recently done some training as well in diversity and inclusion, also that's open to members, but it will be included.
So no, I understand what you're saying, it's open. But if we're telling our staff that they should be trained, it says no authority, then I think it's quite hypocritical that we're telling our staff to be trained in something that we're not trained in. I think we should be made to do it. If you're on the firefighter, you should be able to do it. If you work for Avon Fire and Rescue, you have to do this. It's mandatory. I think it should be for us as well.
Thank you. Ian, want to come back?
Yeah, just in terms of the training for staff, in light of where we're at with this, I'd be disappointed if that is actually an online training, because I think people are going to benefit from
refreshers.
Yeah, I would expect them to, I think staff to benefit from actually being groups where they're actually discussing these issues. They're expecting staff to learn it from a machine and miss out on this discussion. That might be suitable for some organisations, but where we're at with this, I don't think that would be suitable.
You're absolutely right, Councillor, and the programme of work that we'll undertake will absolutely be workshop, face-to-face based, and there is a cultural journey to each other here, and we under no illusion in terms of the size of what we need to achieve. Mark Shelford.
2 points, if I may. The first point is we've had 1 or 2 inspections over the last few years that have generated a number of observations. I think it would be helpful to cross-reference each one. So, because we put in place already some improvements, and I think it's also important to go back to the relevant inspection teams and say, under the Baker report, item 54 is the same as this item we have done before. So that we're not reinventing the wheel, and also for the morale of the officers running these things, they haven't got to say, oh God, I want to reinvent the wheel again. We're already on there, we're in process, we are improving, etc. I think that would be helpful. It would also help the public to know that we're actually on the case. We're not just
If I can reassure the Council, that's exactly what's taken. We started this journey a long time ago, and some of these observations are a midpoint during that journey. So we do need to cross-reference and cross-map the things that within this report with other things that were identified previously, and to make sure that A, we're double counted, B, that we are proving that we're trying the journey that we said we were going to.
And Chief, I have great confidence that you're already on that. Thank you. The second point, which I have mentioned 1 or 2 before, is specifically on item 28 on page 141. And this is an idea, again, no apologies for copying it straight from my experience in the army, of having a physio and a mental health nurse as part of the staff, not necessarily uniform staff, but on the AFA, that are available and regularly go around all fire stations and where our staff are, to be able to do a double act with them. Now, I know that there's money available in the budget to pay for people to go to physios and, if necessary, I guess, go to mental health nurses. But if they're part of the everyday furniture, it's much more likely that the staff will interact with them and engage with them And in my generation, we didn't call it mental health, we actually called it facilitator. And the facilitator went around and was in a cafe and was in the regimental canteen, and all of those things regularly around. So they got to be part of the furniture, and people didn't feel concerned about going to children because it was just part of the team. And I just wonder whether that's something that you might wish to consider for the future.
Give you reassurance, Councillor, we just released an advert today for that very post that you just described.
God, that's good.
We used to have it for years. We had a mental health nurse that worked in here for what must be 5 or 6 years. Well, it might have been longer than that. But when the started coming in, that was one of the posts I gave her. But it worked really, really well.
Just to reassure the authority that absolutely health, fitness, well-being and welfare of our staff is paramount to us moving forward. So it's a clear issue that we need to deal with, and we're already on that.
Yeah, just on the inclusivity bit, I made the point by email in relation to a visit that Sari were organising, that there were lots of religions. The religion that wasn't there was Christian. And I would like to think that we don't highlight the headline grabbing religions. I mean no offence to anybody's religion by saying that, but it's the ones that are often pushed to the front. But we should ensure that those who are of a Christian faith should also be considered.
You're on that point, Alan, yes, thank you for sharing the conversation online. I did speak to Sari at length about that. I'm happy to talk to you about afterwards the outcomes of that discussion.
Positive?
I'll talk to you afterwards. You can use somebody more responsible. Next person was new buses.
Thank you. On that point, we have a cultural awareness visit tomorrow, something. And I think it's just unique, which is a little disappointing. I appreciate it. It's taking a full day, and we hope, I'm sure it will be very valuable. But maybe there will be other opportunities in days and months to come for other members if they are able to spend the time.
Highly commend it, recommend it. Certainly the Service Leadership Board have done exactly the same cultural talk, really valuable. I've got to say, we've learned a lot from it. And certainly has assisted us in terms of how we develop our diversity, inclusion, training and quality training. But of course we can get them dates and no problem at all. We'll arrange those.
Point of information, Chair. I thought that I was registered for this event. It's in my diary. There has been correspondence with about the application form, but I was ready and geared up to go tomorrow.
Right.
Perhaps Aaron could comment.
There are 5 members. There are 5 members that are signed up for tomorrow. Good. Great.
We can always put more dates on.
Saying that, can I just raise an obvious point, which is that culture and diversity is not to do with religion, and it's all about that whole person, life and living, and also it's got here in brackets, people, how well does the service look after its people, and I just, what came to me straight away was how well does the service look like its people. And so there's something that he said about us proactively changing the face of the service as well, so that becomes representative and not just that we're learning about others, but we keep the service the same as it ever was.
Sorry, we don't take anybody on. That's the trouble.
Well, this is what I'm trying to do.
It's really difficult. We haven't shared very many people over the last 10 years. That's the issue. So we've had to stick with the sort of demographics we've got. I mean, luckily, the last couple of years, we have, well, the last 18 months, we have started taking on new staff, and we have got good diversity within that. but we are stuck with people we had 10 years ago.
We've had two cohorts within the last 2 years, but that is the first time we've recruited for whole-time firefighters for 10 years, or thereabouts, 9 years, 8 years. And absolutely good inclusion and diversity within those two cohorts. We'll continue to do so. We've got a current cohort of 16, which will start in May.
Yeah, today I think they're going, the practical test today is final to 54 of close to 900 applicants prior to job offer. So 16 of those 54 will be successful. Currently in the process, in terms of diversity, we've 11% are women, still at 54, and 6% probably any background. That's the current predictions or the current position that we're at. But that's been relatively constant through every single stage, actually, all the way through. We've put lots of effort in to increase our diversity, particularly our applicants in the early stages, and lots of engagement. What we have seen, though, is we haven't seen a huge increase in the numbers of people, albeit this time around we had less applications, but the percentage was relatively stable. So it will say actually in number terms there was a slight increase, but no significant increase. What we are seeing now is because of the upfront work we're doing with engagement, is we're getting better quality of applicants through, which is giving us a better opportunity to, at the end result, having a more increased diversity. So we're seeing some benefits there, absolutely. But we've still got some work to do. You know, it's not finished article, absolutely, and we continue to do that. Our next round of recruitment is not likely, because in our staffing profile, to be early 2021 for our next recruit school. So that gives us this year and some of next year to really start working in engaging with the different communities as well and raising the profile of our ministry service.
So in simple terms, are you saying that you're not meeting applications for?
We're not seeing a huge increase. No. We're not seeing a huge increase, and we've put lots of effort. Yeah, we've put lots of effort in. What I'm saying is we're getting better quality coming through because of the work. So we are seeing those benefits rather than perhaps a sort of drop off, in terms of diversity through each of the stages. We're getting consistency through now and a better quality.
Yeah, just a point of clarification following on from Councillor Scott, which is the page before 141. It says recommendations by 31st of March, which includes the training. Sounds a little bit ambitious.
It's more than ambitious, and we need to push that back. That's one of the areas we need to, because it says actually improvements identified within the cultural review. So we'll change our culture by the 31st of March. It's going to be challenging. The reality is that we will lay out our action plan. The authority will agree on something. We will cross-map it with our current improved journey anyway, and then what we'll do is we will present that to HMICFRS, and they will adapt their let's come and check progress regime around that programme.
Just a footnote, through the notes of the employment committee, whether there may be some cases which it would be useful for us to know about, perhaps for advance. Of course, we have the notes here, so pick up if there's or other things like that, whether there's anything that could come from the employment committee straight to us, because that might be useful for us to know.
Jim Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Slightly facetious, but you talk about that you want the Christian religion included. I'm an atheist, but I don't see anybody saying that atheists and people who do not have a religion should be also looked at. That's slightly. Can I associate myself with Councillor Johnson? We talk about religion, but religion is not culture, and she's quite right in that. I was fortunate, I used to work for my sins when I worked for the DWP in Eastern Job Centre, and that is a multi-ethnic and cultural diverse area. And it is quite surprising. We actually had
some people come and talk to us about cultural, not only just the religion, but the cultural things as well. There was a classic one. It tended to be, and this is only a tendency, so it's not carved in stone. For instance, there's a lot of the ladies round there would not look you in the eye, because that was considered rude by them. And that the culture was, it was rude to look the person in the eye. Now, in a sort of the white male majority place, we think that if someone doesn't look you in the eye, there's something shifty about them. Not, in this case, not true at all. That was the culture. And I think culture is often, in some ways, a lot more important than religion in how you deal with that person.
Just a quick, I agree with Carol, it should be what we should represent the people who we serve. But one thing I've been asking for years is that we should also do work on trying to get individuals in the organisation to take at least about, not west where I come from, where they're disadvantaged there as well. It's not just, I mean, there's lots of different things that we should be looking at. And I've been asking that people from deprived areas should also, one of the targets that we should be looking at, regardless of race, colour, sexuality. But there are areas in the city where I've been up to the community centre for jobs fairs, and I'm trying to promote the fire service. And we do have a store down there, maybe for community safety stuff. You speak to people from there, and then, well, I can't get that job, I ain't got the qualifications. And then you start to tell them, well, you don't need the qualifications to apply, you've got to go for the same. So, they don't look at the fire service as a, regardless of their makeup, they don't look at the fire service and deploy there as a route in for them because of their qualifications. So I think we should look at that as well.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. And one of the areas that will help us this year is the apprenticeships, and that's exactly what I'd like to focus the apprenticeships on. Is opportunities that people might not ordinarily see the fire service as being a career for. It was an opportunity that they could pursue a career in that.
Yes,
apprenticeships is absolutely a perfect example to help us. Where, to inspire and create an opportunity for those that might not ordinarily think it's for them.
Yeah, just to reassure people at the beginning, with most people try not to look at.
Thank you very much.
But in relation, I missed sadly the last passing out break, but the break before that, there was a black guy who was in 50.
It was 50, yeah, Charles.
50. So, if you like, ticking a few boxes, basically, there was also the guy who, the writer, mixed heritage, on the same intake. And I had the opportunity of visiting the qualifying exercises at Cambridge, and what was really nice that there was a black girl there who had failed the time before on maths or English, and she'd gone away and worked this out to get through that to come to the exercise. I understand was very successful on that, and presumably is in the next intake or currently is.
She's in Bedminster actually, Kirsty.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if she's talking. Sorry, she's a
75. Oh, great.
Yeah, she's
language is that long ago. But so it certainly seems that we are.
So suffice to say, we are working really hard to be the best that we can be at this, and certainly with support from us and so on, to achieve that. We have a service level agreement with Surrey for their support. We want to be not just an employer of choice, but a career of choice. And there are a number of careers that are available here, from corporate services through to uniformed service, but we can specialise in a number of areas. Technical fire safety being one, firefighting being another. We want to be a career of choice, not just an employer of choice, and we know that we've got a lot of work to do. What we've got to make sure is each cohort that we bring in now is representative of our communities.
we work hard to achieve that. Certainly we have the last two cohorts, and this cohort is looking very promising, and certainly we're putting a lot of energy in. Do you know what? We're learning each time as well, and with support from others, I think we'll get there. Your questions?
There's a lot of work going on with our full-time. When we returns on the board stuff now, are there opportunities there every season, every chance that we can to enable
Okay, so we have on average 3 schools a year at our training centre which cater for firefighters. And again, we're working with demographics in slightly different, only 5 minutes away from that fire station. So, and most of our consultation are more rural, whereas we're in town areas of our service area. We're also doing some work around contracts as well. So historically, we've only offered up 2 contracts, one which is full cover, 120 hours of cover a week, and part cover, which is 84 hours of cover a week. We've actually in the past turned away some fantastic candidates who say, you know what, I can drop the children off at 9 o'clock in the morning, be on call for you till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we haven't catered for those individuals. We're now catering for those individuals to say, actually that's the times when some of our appliances come off the run because the shortage of firefighters who are working out of the area. So now we're improving the demographics, we're improving the quality, the diversity and the quality of those areas through changing the contract that we provide.
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple of comments really. I have to admit, I was rather disappointed with this HMRC FRS report. I think it's very tick box, it's very white board, it's very top down. I think Councillor Lace alluded to it's totally ludicrous to imagine that the best way in the world can deliver cultural change. Those of us who experience change management know that culture is the hardest thing to change in any organisation. Early in my career, I had to talk to people born in Soviet Russia about customer service, where if you wanted bread and queued up, and they just didn't dare. So it's the hardest thing to change. And so I salute you for the good things you're doing. I'm sure it'll make a difference. And I also want to relate personally to it, which was very pleasant. Some of you will remember Gerdil Singh was a Sikh driver who worked for us. I worked for him. So I think I felt a bit badly treated. I think he did something to address his needs. And he invited me to attend the temple. Maybe I'm odd, some people would say I'm very odd, but I
never say that.
But I actually, as a human being, I'm one of those odd individuals who actually thrives on diversity, not because it's politically correct, but because I just think it's cool that we can live different, as Councillor Johnson alluded to. And he showed me the temple, and he showed me how they operate, and there was a Sikh festival ongoing, and he was talking to me with great pride and knowledge about the gurus. I'm very critical of them, but I think, and there was another point I wanted to make, which is when I stood for election and knocked on the doors, I would say 1 in 5 were expressing very UKIP sentiments, sending them back, that sort of thing. And irrespective of the fact that I found those attitudes unpalatable, my particular constituency was monocultural. So if you were up from Ireland or Wales, you were an event. We were English, we were white. And it's a pattern that I've noticed across the country that very culturally and ethnically diverse regions are typically much more tolerant, which is counterintuitive because you think, you know, if there's going to be tensions, they would be in our big cities, and they're not. This is speculative, but I think that's, we fear as human beings the unknown. And the problem I have with some of the diversity is top down, and it's something that's done to you. I've got to attend and I've got to learn what diversity means, and I'm told how to think. And I think there was an element for the leadership, yourself, Nick, and others, to say, zero tolerance for any form of Islamophobia, sexism, homophobia, racism, and all. But I also think there's a case for, if we've got a Sikh working for us, let him tell us, those who are interested, not compulsory, but introduce us to the facets of his belief system. I think that might promote, in a more subtle way, understanding of one another, all aspects, which will bring us closer together as one community.
I think that the medication is good. However, it should never be left to the individual working within a service to have that responsibility to have to explain about who they are and why they are the way that they are. That would be ridiculous, actually, and I would be offended if I'm a black woman of Jamaican descendancy, and if I was working in the service and came to me and said, "Could you tell us all what it means to be Jamaican?" I would bring that on. I think the approach that you're taking is right. You need to come from the top down, but you also do need to come from the bottom up and make space for people to be who they are and say who they are. You don't put them on a hot seat and say, "Now can you share about yourself?" Because I am Carol Johnson, but my experience is very different to Cleo Lake. She's an individual and so am I, in the same way that you are. So you can't expect one individual to speak for an entire race. That wouldn't be acceptable to me at all. You have to continue the journey that you're on at the moment and seek people to join you in sharing the information, but not assume that anybody is anything. Because I have a black skin doesn't mean I'm a Muslim. I'm not, actually. You can't make assumptions about me. You have to learn about all different types of people. Because I live in this country, I have learned about what it means to be white and what it means to be English, but it's coming at me the whole time, I'm training the whole time. You have to make space in the conversation for the other people to sit at the table and share what, their truths as well, and then you have to be prepared to listen. Just because you sit at the table and you ask the question, you're not doing any favour by doing that. You should be doing that anyway.
I mean, in a similar way, within the police service, earlier on, when there weren't many black officers, arguably there aren't many now, but certainly the early ones used to get really cheesed off with the sort of rolling them out for specific events, it's, I think that follows your thought system. Oh, black, so here we go, and that's not right. It's the right people for the right role, and if they happen to be black and you're on a drive to recruit more ethnic minority people, well, fine, that might work. But I think it's unfair to put that person there just because of their skin colour or their sexual orientation or whatever it might be.
The report has been noting, we all happy to?
Haven't forgotten me.
Sorry.
No, I haven't. I was going to say two things. I think that one of the risks of being a counsellor is that something that you give a brief couple of hours to often ends up with a facilitator coming from London that tells you how you should have dealt with looked after children or money or this or that or the other. And I think that the same thing has happened here. On page 141, item 30, area for improvement. Well, yes. The service should put in place a credible succession plan for the whole organisation. Now, someone has gone back to Guildford smugly saying, well, I told them that. But in reality, they've forgotten interviews and applications and this sort of thing. So that is a nonsense requirement that they have passed on smoothly as part of their task of going down to Bristol and sorting out file authority in the service.
But that's green, Bob. Doesn't that mean?
I know it's green, because we do have a credible succession plan. Don't we? No, we don't. We can't, because every job is available for everybody to apply. So there is no succession plan. In the old days, when people didn't move around so much, yes, you could, but not anymore. So although it's green, it's a nonsense, and there may be other nonsenses there, I don't know. But very briefly, if we did have a future, and I emphasise future, discussion on the difference between race and culture and religion, I'd be very keen to hear it and participate. I've worked in many countries with many religions and many cultures, and I think I have something to contribute.
The opportunity tomorrow, won't we?
No, I don't think, I'm not sure, I'm going to speak to regulator, that I'm actually on the list. Because naively, I followed the instruction, which turned out to be the wrong one.
Just a point though, that in terms of the work we're doing with DICE, culture covers how white people interact with each other, how we all interact. And there are certain things in the organisation that need to change, regardless of colour. So
yes,
that's a bigger issue as well.
Absolutely.
Chair, it's running late.
Yes.
I know. Can we know that
This is not our briefing, is it, this whole thing?
No. Right, so we've gone to the forward plan. We said we've got the forward plan. That is for us to approve. Are we happy with the forward plan?
Here's where I want to raise is page 146. It says following clarifying March 2019 new constitution for approval. What I think about that is that with the fact that 3 local authorities are up for elections, we don't know which member is going to be returning. Each local authority should change its membership anyway. We're also going to lose people because they reached the ruling of 3 years. It seems to me this could be a completely different fire authority in May. It seems to me that the new constitution should be for that fire authority to determine and not the outgoing one.
Okay, well, we've arranged a meeting of the Constitution Division Working Group to discuss that very point. Okay, so we'll bring it back, we may or may not bring it back to the March meeting as well, that conversation.
So I mean, we don't have to worry that we have to see the condensed version yet.
Yes, don't worry about that. Okay, so you happy to approve that? So now move into the next meeting at Cohesion. Cohesion Town Band will be entertaining us on arrival, I understand, is that right? Okay, so now we're going to move to exclude the press and public. So the public be excluded from the meeting